Thank you guys for watching this video. Like and subscribe to see more videos. Let's get into the video.
11 Chapter 11 Worry. Worrying about someone is a privilege because it means you have someone in your life worth worrying about. Unknown. When Mr. Miyamoto returned after putting all the stuff home, Izuku was gone. He was nowhere to be seen. He might have gone somewhere, thought Mr. Miyamoto. It was already way past school hours, and given Izuku's state before, there was no way anyone would have bullied him anymore for the day. I definitely will talk to him tomorrow. I'll tell him to leave the school right now. If he disagrees, I'll force him. I'll do whatever is needed, but I will make sure he leaves the school, at least till he gets into UA. What happens at UA isn't my concern. After all, they are quite strict against bullying. Their Izuku will be safe. My duty is to make sure he is left alive till he makes it into UA, said Mr. Miyamoto, with a determined look on his face, as he clenched his fists. I'll definitely make sure he listens to me. I have already talked with my friend, and he will make sure to let Izuku get a passing degree without having to go to school anymore. He can use that time to get rest and recuperate all those wounds that he has got. At least that way, he can have a normal life for once, thought Mr. Miyamoto. Thinking about that, Mr. Miyamoto went home and called his contacts, confirming everything he talked about before so that things could take immediate effect. I'll definitely save you, said Mr. Miyamoto as he remembered the state Izuku was in before, as tears started rolling down his eyes, then shook his head, wiping his tears and thinking about how he would save him. With that optimism, he left the school premises and went to his home department store where Izuku bought his medic supplies. Inside the store manager could be seen fiddling his fingers as well as clicking them on the table. This is weird. Why hasn't he come yet? It's already past the time he usually comes. Even if he is very late, he makes sure to let me know about it somehow. Did he not need the medicines anymore? Said the store manager as he started thinking about all the things as questions started flooding his head. No, as much as I hate to admit it. There is no way the bullying that started getting extreme slowly stopped all of a sudden. And even if that was the case, he would be the first one to tell me about it. It's not like there is someone else who will come and tell me about his state. So, why hasn't he come yet? Is he stuck in some kind of problem or something? Said the store manager as questions started flooding his mind. The store manager finally sighed as he said, I can't help but feel worried for him, and sat on the chair. He looked at the family photo and the smiling faces of his wife and daughter as it was taken in an amusement park they visited just before her wife fell ill. He said, had my wife not been sick, I would have definitely called the cops, even at the cost of my job. Had my wife been well, and I would need money on a regular basis for her medicines, then I would have definitely even filed a case against the owner for covering up child abuse, said the store manager as Izuku's state came to his mind. Seeing the medic bag on the counter, which had increased in size by 3 times since Izuku started coming to get it, a worried look formed on his face as he said, but still, this is becoming concerning. If he doesn't show up by the end of today, I'll definitely have to do something about it. I can't just let him be like that. If something happens to him, then I won't be able to forgive myself, said the store manager. As he was thinking all this, a very disturbing thought came to his mind. What if my daughter goes through something like that? And what if no one helps her, just like no one is helping him? Just imagining seeing her daughter in that state caused him to have a very grim look as he violently shook his head to remove that thought from his head as he said, no, that's not going to happen. I'm going to save him. I'm not cruel enough to turn a blind eye to what's happening with him and use the excuse of my family to not do anything. Even if my family has to suffer a bit, I'm sure they will understand my actions. I will make sure that I save that child. Giving him medics isn't enough. I should have called the police, yet this was all I could do. But it's okay. Better late than never. I'll make sure to save him. If he doesn't come by the end of the day, then I'm definitely calling the cops. I don't care what happens to me, but I'll make sure to put the owner, as well as those who bullied him, said the store manager. As he said all this, he realized, I developed that kid's muttering habit, he said as he had a helpless laugh. Remembering him, the store manager said, I am so sorry, kid. I know I should have done this sooner, but don't worry, I'll definitely save you. As a determined look came on his face. Todoroki household. It's strange. Why did he not come today? He always comes, and that too on time. Why did he not come today? If he wasn't going to come, he would have definitely called or texted me, thought Fuyumi as she had a worried look on her face as she was roaming in the house. There definitely seems to be something wrong. I knew I should have said something to him given how his injuries were significantly increasing with every meeting, said Fuyumi as she couldn't help but worry about him. When she was walking around, she saw Tuya's Tamaya. In the Shinto religion of Japan, a memorial altar is dedicated to the spirits of the deceased. Seeing Tuya's memorial, she couldn't help but see Izuku's face overlap with Tuya's as she said, "He looks just like Tuya, his smile, his tendencies as well as his injuries, everything reminds me of him. That's the only reason I couldn't ask him how he got those injuries. There was also the reason that I knew he was quirkless and he was getting bullied, but I chose to not ponder over it, as it would just be salt over his wounds," said Fuyumi. However, her face turned grim as she said, "But it seems his condition is deteriorating by the day. And as an adult, I should have done something about it. After all, my dad is the #2 hero flame hero endeavor. Yet, what did I do? I did nothing at all. I couldn't do anything about it for Tuya and Isen, but that's not gonna happen this time." With a determined look, Fuyumi said, "I'll wait for Izuku's reply till the time Dad comes. After that, if I don't receive any news from him, then I'm telling Dad and making sure that whoever bullies him gets punished. I won't let history repeat itself. I wasn't able to save Tuya and Isen, but not this time. I will save Izuku when I know how he needs love and care of a family, something he definitely isn't getting in his own home. Or else someone might have definitely done something about it, and he wouldn't be roaming around in so many bandages. And he can be friends with Shoto as well. I'm sure both of them need friends, and they can be each other's friends. In fact, they might definitely become good friends, I'm sure of it. That way both of them would be able to heal each other as well. Hey, that's a good idea. I'll adopt him into our family, and with Dad's help, it can happen easily. That is fixed now. I'll tell Dad to adopt him. I won't let him suffer anymore." When she finished talking, she realized that she was muttering just like Izuku used to, and it caused a small smile to form on her face as she said, "It looks like I developed his muttering habit." Turning her smile to a determined one, she said, "Izuku-kun, don't worry, I will save you." Symbol of fear. Izuku's POV. "My life felt like a curse, and I wanted to end it as soon as possible. And I jumped, accepting death and thinking about gaining better people in my next life, although I definitely wish these people to be among them as well, but that was nothing but wishful thinking on my part. And that's how I jumped, totally unaware of what was going to happen next." The prologue ends, and from here on out things will be fast-paced as well as action-packed. Filled with nothing but slow revenge, Izuku takes on the world as he becomes someone worthy of the title Symbol of Fear. 12 Chapter 12 Rebirth. The Phoenix must burn to emerge. Janet Fitch. Location: building from where Izuku jumped. Just as Izuku jumped, something strange happened as he was hovering in the air just centimeters away from getting impaled by the iron spikes of the gate. And no matter what he did, he was in a static position, unmoving. He tried doing everything he could, but to no avail. Then all of a sudden he got pulled towards the side and smashed into the wall as Izuku fell to the ground, his body aching in a lot of pain. And just when he thought the pain ended, all of a sudden his body started aching like crazy, as if someone was churning and twisting his internal organs without mercy. And the pain continued for a long time. "Aha!" Izuku screamed, overtaken by the unbearable pain. He couldn't notice that the pain was healing his body. All the broken bones and internal injuries started healing itself at an unimaginable pace, causing the pain. Once the internal injuries were dealt with, all the superficial ones also started healing. All the cuts, burns, bruises, blood loss, as well as the flowing blood, everything was healed to the point that if someone now saw him, then they could never say that he was even once bullied by anyone. Izuku's body was automatically fulfilling all the requirements of his body, everything his age group kids would have, or the ideal requirements of his body. Once that was done, his body started giving him more. His body started reaching peak human level, be it endurance, strength, or speed. Everything was reaching a superhuman level, and to say it was a painful process was an understatement. The pain Izuku felt was more than he felt in his whole life. Staying conscious was harder, as all he wanted was to just give into the pain and die, but something was preventing him from sleeping, losing consciousness, and losing his life as well. It was a quirk awakening. Actually, it was something that had been happening since the age of 4. After his quirk test, no one knew, but Izuku was slowly developing a quirk as the extra bone in the leg was diminishing, but with all the bullying, Izuku couldn't concentrate or differentiate it, as all the pain that he experienced from this process was overshadowed by the pain of his bullying and his worry of becoming a hero. Although he was grateful that he didn't have to experience that pain, but due to constant bullying and all the injuries he incurred, the process of his quirk awakening became very slow, as his body didn't get enough time and energy it needed to manifest his quirk, as majority of his time was spent in healing the injuries. That's why it took almost 10 years for the process to complete. And be it a stroke of fate or coincidence that his quirk manifested finally when he was about to end my life. So when all the pain ended and his metamorphosis was complete, Izuku almost lost consciousness. However, at the same time, something within his body was preventing him from sleeping or losing consciousness. Metamorphosis was complete. Now Izuku had not only reached peak superhuman level in terms of energy, his body got rid of all the scars, internal and external, as well as his face changed. So did his hair color, eye color, everything about him changed, as if he got a new body. Nothing about him was the same as before, apart from the memories he had. And Izuku noticed this as he was conscious. He could feel his facial muscles and bones changing shape, restructuring his face. He could feel everything, even his body changing. After the metamorphosis was complete, Izuku had a muscular built, slender figure, mid-length straight black hair that reached his ears. He had green eyes and thin black eyebrows. And my boy Izuku became Daddy Fushiguro. However, that was something Izuku could figure out later as well. As of now, he needed to focus on the recently awakened quirk that was going rampant in his body, adjusting his body to the quirk. The best example of it was his hands, which were glitching in and out, appearing and disappearing again and again. It should have been concerning seeing his hands disappearing, but he could still feel his hands and fingers, so he wasn't that concerned about it. And soon his body also started glitching, going ahead all of a sudden, going side and inside and outside of the building, going all crazy. Luckily, Izuku was a quirk nerd, and he knew what needed to be done to get the rampant quirk under control. And after researching so many heroes, he also knew which were sure-shot ways to calm himself down. When he came out of the building, he started taking deep breaths as he forced himself to sit in one place. And once sat, he started focusing on his breathing, calming his breaths as well as feeling what was happening in his body. After a few minutes of calming himself down with deep breaths, Izuku could see that his hands and body calmed down as well, and the glitching also calmed down. Although his hands are still glitching, but it is at a normal, slow enough rate for him to see what is actually happening. After his heart was calmed, and his mind also relaxed enough, Izuku saw what was happening. He closed his eyes once again as he tried feeling the quirk in his body as well as trying to understand the glitching that was happening inside his body. And started trying to understand what that feeling was, where his quirk factor was inside body, along with seeing the extent of powers he has and can use. Making a mental note out of his findings so that he can write them down and track his growth and progress accordingly. After a few minutes, Izuku concluded that it was some kind of glitch quirk, the kind that happens in technology, and he could glitch his entire body with that quirk, or just a particular part of my body as well, as his quirk factor was inside his whole body. And once he knew what the quirk was and got some idea of the future prospects and possibilities of his quirk, he stood up, his breathing still relaxed as he tried glitching his hand out of the wall, following which he did the same with the other hand, and then finally with his whole body. Technically, all he did was phase through the walls, but it was an associate skill, or sub-skill of his quirk, and likely the first step to master his quirk. And he needed to start from the easiest one first, accustoming himself to it all. And phasing was a success. Well, it was half thanks to the meditation he did to sort of calm his thoughts as well as deal with the stress and pain of the bullying he used to experience up till now, that he was able to calm himself down this fast. And then when Izuku saw it was a success, he jumped in joy, glitching in and out of the building out of excitement. I finally have a quirk more versatile than anyone around my age. Now I can get my revenge on all those who have wronged me. All those who turned a blind eye towards my condition and even promoted bullying me. I will get my hands on all of them and give them a death far more painful than they have ever imagined, said Izuku in joy, which slowly turned into anger and finally turned into a sadistic smile. I will make them regret bullying me and treating me as if I were an object of their play. And I will get back to that so-called symbol of peace hypocrite known as Toshinori Yagi. I will make him regret being such a hypocrite, and also make him regret discriminating between me and Kazuki. And thank God I don't have a quirk related to either of my parents. I don't want or need anything related to them. Continued Izuku, as technically there was no one around him to listen to his monologuing. All Izuku wanted currently was death and chaos. I will ruin his everything, destroy everything he holds dear, and every value he has upheld, said Izuku as his eyes shone with a murderous glint as his hands started violently glitching. Consumed by rage, Izuku totally ignored what was happening around him. His quirk was working in accordance with his emotions, affecting reality as the surrounding area was getting violently destroyed. Some areas even disappeared, causing visual anomalies, and the alley he was in started deforming. And just see the video where Particle Collider explodes in Sony's first Spider-Verse movie and what happens to the city due to it. Saying this, Izuku decided to get out of that alley first as he came out of there and went in a certain direction. Well, it is just named Sake, as even he doesn't know where he's going, but subconsciously he's going away from my previous house, school, and everything related to my past life, totally ignoring the destroyed and deformed surroundings which his quirk did. 13 Chapter 13 Determination. Wake-up call to the soul. Rocky Balboa. Todoroki household. As Fuyumi had decided, since Izuku didn't call her by the time Endeavor came, she told him about it.
Flashback no jutsu.
It's already 9, and he hasn't called me yet, said Fuyumi as she was walking around the house in worry. Fuyumi had never been this worried about anyone before. That's the reason it was caught by her 2 brothers as well. Fuyumi-ne, why are you having such a troubled look? Asked Shoto while eating his dinner. Don't tell me you already have a boyfriend, Fuyumi-ne, said Natsuo in an amused tone as well as a teasing smile on his face. I can't believe someone caught your eyes so soon, Mei-san, said Natsuo, teasing her while eating his dinner. It's nothing like that, Fuyumi said, brushing it off. After all, how could she fall in love with someone much younger than her? He is practically Shoto's age. Then why are you blushing? Asked Natsuo with a smirk. As this was going on, Endeavor came in, causing Natsuo to murmur, mood killer, as he quickly finished his food and stood up. Shoto did the same, but at a slower pace than Natsuo. Seeing the 2 brothers going to their respective rooms as soon as Endeavor came in caused Fuyumi to sigh in exhaustion, as she was too worked up to think about this right now, and Izuku's safety was more important. Seeing this, Endeavor didn't think much, as it was irregular, and he wasn't going to think too much about it. However, seeing Fuyumi's worried expression, which was more than usual, Endeavor asked, What's wrong, Fuyumi? It's a kid, Dad, said Fuyumi. What do you mean? Asked Endeavor in a confused state. There is a kid named Izukiyagi. He is quirkless. Apparently, he gets bullied every day for being quirkless and is always covered in bandages. Although I had promised him not to tell anyone as he wanted to become a pro hero. He always visits me every week on Mondays, but he hasn't shown up today. He hasn't even been replying my texts or answering my calls, which he never does. And if he wasn't going to come then, he would have definitely informed me so that I don't worry, but today nothing happened. And he didn't even show up today. I think something has happened to him. Please look into it for me, Dad. He is the same age as Shoto, explained Fuyumi. Endeavor silently listened to everything as he started thinking about something. Are you sure something has happened to him? Asked Endeavor. Yes, I know him very well. Even if nothing would have happened and he just couldn't come, he would definitely let me know. He tells me everything in detail, yet skips the bullying part altogether, but I'm not blind. I can see and tell the difference between bullying and training, and what he's going through is increasing every day. That's why I'm sure something has happened to him, explained Fuyumi. What about his family? Asked Endeavor. HMPHH, they don't care about him. If they did, then he wouldn't be this badly injured. Didn't you listen that he is quirkless? You treat us differently because of our quirks. Shoto is your prized child, and thus you give him all of your time and focus on his training alone while neglecting us altogether. Do you want me to tell you what him being quirkless means? Asked Fuyumi in a somewhat annoyed tone. Endeavor didn't say anything as he had just recently realized how much of a partial father he was and also understood why his kids never liked him, and because of this his family was almost broken. Had it not been Fuyumi holding everyone like glue, then this family would have scattered long along, and he couldn't have done anything at all, and for that he was thankful of Fuyumi. And understanding that Izuku was quirkless, he understood the kind of treatment he would have received at his home. After all, he was just like them, who discriminated against his own kids based on their quirks, so he totally understood Fuyumi's concern. As someone who had recently realized the importance of family and was trying to make amends and fix his family, he wanted to make things right, and Fuyumi was definitely helping him in this, and that's why he decided to listen to his daughter. And he sort of had again become partial, but in a good way, as he was listening to everything Fuyumi said. Of course, Fuyumi taught him how a father should act. All in all, Fuyumi was teaching her father how to be a good father and a good husband, so everything was good. Although Endeavor would be prideful enough to not admit his mistakes openly, or even apologize for that matter, he had subconsciously started rectifying his mistakes, as well as understanding how wrong his methods were. And no matter how messed up his family matters were, he was still the #2 hero, and as a hero, he couldn't neglect a quirkless kid being bullied, especially when he was someone close to Fuyumi. Although Fuyumi wouldn't have noticed her state when worrying about Izuku, even Endeavor, who is the last person one would go to in matters of emotion, even he could tell that, for Fuyumi, Izuku was more than just a friend or quirkless kid she wanted to help, although he didn't meddle into any of that matter, as a man-child named Endeavor was slowly maturing, and it was his way of giving her some space. Well, he did it subconsciously, and if someone would have pointed it out, he would have definitely acted like it's Sundra, denying any such things. And so, he just called Detective Tsukachi Naomosa. Naomosa, I am giving you the name of the missing kid, Izukiyagi. I want you to leave everything and search for him right now. I don't care how much police force you have to use. I want him as soon as possible. Start searching for him right now. I'll send you his image. Saying this, Endeavor cut the phone. Don't worry, we'll find him soon, said Endeavor in a reassuring tone. And somehow hearing this, Fuyumi felt somewhat satisfied, thinking now Izuku would be safe, as Fuyumi said, "Thanks, Dad." Saying this, Fuyumi went to her room. Even Endeavor felt satisfied. That's when he realized something. "Hey, what about my dinner?" asked Endeavor as he realized that he was just used by her eldest child.
Thanks for watching, like, and subscribe.